Hey everybody, welcome to the Game Addicts Podcast, the show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am your host, Brando. Join with me today, as always, no one. It's just me, guys. So here's what's been going on. We did take sort of a break because of a family situation that kind of came up on my end, and unfortunately, we just had to put a halt to the show. And so what we had to do was our schedule is sort of like we film a week out. Well, now it's the weekend heading into what would be like the normal release week for us. And we're ready to record again next week. But I wanted to put something up this week. And so here's what I'm going to do, guys. A long time ago, before the Game Addicts Podcast existed, I did YouTube videos for the Journey into Comics YouTube channel way before we launched a network, way before we launched spinoffs, when it was just the Journey into Comics, like subsidiary YouTube channel for just the Journey into Comics podcast. And basically, I decided to create my own little playlist / show where I was going to talk video games. And what I ended up mostly doing was I did maybe a couple unboxings, but I did a lot of pickup videos. If any of you, of course, listen to the show, we do pickups during the show. And once we started the Game Addicts Podcast, I think I only did a few more pickup videos. And then we sort of just put that into the show. We just started doing that. So what I decided to do was showcase some of those and basically give you guys an idea of what the genesis of this podcast was, because it was basically me growing my collection. I've said before, I kind of wish I had this podcast back then to showcase a lot of the games that I bought and kind of came across when I did. And so this is going to be a pretty cool way, if you guys have never checked out those videos, to do that. And what I'm going to do here is that for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm just going to put those videos right here. I'm going to do a little intro for each one, and then I'll let the video kind of play out. Basically, it's just me in front of a webcam showing my games and talking about why I bought them. Just like we do on the podcast, we just talk about why we bought certain games and we talk about them. But then, of course, for the audio, I'm just going to take the audio from the videos and put them on there, just like we do with our podcasts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to splice those in, and it's going to be a pretty cool thing because you guys are going to get to see me when I am still very uncomfortable in front of the microphone, in front of the camera. And I do a lot of jump cuts for my videos. I was very insecure about my speech pattern or getting lost, not knowing exactly what to say, not feeling super comfortable yet. So it's going to be cool to go back and hear. I guess on the audio side, you're not really going to hear it so much. Maybe you will. I'm speaking in a bit of a softer tone of voice. I may have to turn the volume up a little bit on some of these videos. But I'm also not as on track for where I want to go. I'm just sort of blabbering about these games that I like. So you know what? With this episode, I thought it would be just a good thing to throw these in here. So I want to thank you guys for checking us out this week, and I hope you guys enjoy these kind of long Brando-centric episode as far as just pickup videos. We did 13 of these videos, and Mike was on the last one. So I think it'd be cool for if we ever hit another rough spot down the road where we ended up not having an episode that week. Maybe I'll throw up a couple more of those, 2 or 3 into an episode, and just put those out for you guys, for you to get a pretty cool idea of what's in my collection. So with this first one, guys, it was released on September 9th, 2014. This is going back quite a few years. And if you're on the YouTube channel, you're going to get to see my old game room, which is now my son's room. We ended up painting the walls a different color, and it was I think in that video, it's a tan or something like that. We ended up painting it blue or whatever. But yeah, it's the old game room that it isn't showcased at all anymore. I only had that game room for a year before I had to move it to the back room where I have less space. So with this first one, yes, it came out in 2014. Here is old Brando, and take it away. Guys, this is Brando again from Journey into Comics, and today I'm going to be doing a gaming pickup video where I showcase some of the games that I've got the last couple months. I've got about 36 games, so let's just get right to it. So first off, we're going to start with the Goodwill finds for the month. And I hit Goodwill about every week. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. It's hit or miss. But I ended up getting a couple of extreme sports games like the original Tony Hawk for PlayStation 1. I've been skipping on this for a while. I got a good deal on it. It was only a couple bucks. And it was, I think, the 15th year anniversary for Tony Hawk. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And I didn't know that this was even a game for the Wii, Dave Mirra's BMX Challenge. It's kind of like a racing game, but they also have like a mode where you can just do tricks, and you have to hold like the Wiimote like on its side, and then like use the motion controls. But anyway, it wasn't bad. For a couple bucks, I figured I'd check it out. And then lastly, I ended up getting finding this Game Boy Color for like a few bucks, and it even had the Super Mario Land in it. So that was kind of cool. I always end up kind of getting lucky at Goodwill. But moving on to the PSP, got a couple good games for that. The Siphon Filters, Dark Mirror, and Logan's Shadow. I never got into Logan's Shadow. I played Dark Mirror when I first got the PSP, played through it. I loved it. And I can't wait to get into Logan's Shadow. I always loved the Siphon Filter series on the PS1, mainly the first and second one. I really didn't get into the third one that much. But I also picked up Phantasy Star Portable. And I've never put a Phantasy Star, to be honest with you, even on the Genesis or anything like that. I want to, but I haven't seen any in my local area to pick them up. But I saw this and I jumped on it. And then I was really excited to find this one, the Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles. It's got Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, and really excited to dive into this. The games have been remade, far as I can tell, or at least Rondo has. And I don't know, I think it says unlock the classic side-scrolling adventure of Rondo of Blood. So that's kind of cool that I can play this, and I wonder if it's the actual TurboGrafx or if it's the Super Nintendo port. I don't know. But moving on. I did pick up a couple of PS4 games, and honestly, they're just kind of like rehashes. First one is the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. I would pick this up because I actually don't own a physical copy of this, or I didn't before now. And why that was is that I ended up getting the PS3 digital for like $10, and I had $20 of credit. And it was a few weeks or a month after this came out originally. It went down half price for 1 weekend only, so I used the $20, got it for $10, and then I loved it. And I wanted to get an actual copy of it. I could not pass this up. I saw screenshots of it. It was my favorite game of last year, and that's The Last of Us. I absolutely love The Last of Us. I think it's every bit as good as what people think it is, and I think people dog on it just a little too much. I understand the hype was maybe a little too high, but I think it lived up to it on a story-driven basis. Now we're gonna move on to the Xbox, and I got one of my favorite games on the Xbox. This was also on the PS2, but Indigo Prophecy from the makers of Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls for the PS3. I absolutely love this game. The story, I think it kind of took a weird turn in the end, but I actually enjoyed playing through this. It's a heavy story, interactive story kind of game. So if you like that, definitely check out Indigo Prophecy. Now, the next one's going to have a PS2 title mixed into it, and that is the Splinter Cell series. I got the trilogy on the original Xbox, and I got Double Agent for the PS2. Now, the story behind these is I ended up getting a great deal for these, and I ended up getting all four of these, for like $6. I could not pass that up. And even though Double Agent is on the 360, it was on PS2, it was there, and I just grabbed it and picked it up. I've only ever played through the first one, so the fact now that I have all of them and I can play through them at my leisure, I'm really excited about that. Moving on to the 360, got Perfect Dark Zero. I got this at GameStop for $1.79. This was actually a launch title, and people were pretty disappointed in it, especially after the first one for N64. I have that one, and I wanted this one just because I had that one. So $1.79, I couldn't just pass that up. I mean, that's like saying no to air. Along with that day, I rebought Fallout 3. If anybody who's listened to the podcast knows, I sold most of my stuff besides PlayStation 3 games and whatnot. And I have a cat, I'm at the door, but whatever. And that includes this. And I actually bought all the DLC for it, which is why I only picked up the basic copy. It was only like $5. But yeah, Fallout 3. I loved Fallout 3. Don't know if I'm going to play it again at some point because of how many hours I put into it, but had to pick it up again from my collection. This next one was actually another Goodwill find. And this was it's a 2-pack. It's Sega Superstars Tennis and Xbox Live Arcade compilation disc. And I picked it up kind of just for that. It's got like the Pac-Man Championship and Uno and a few other games. And I did not realize that this exists, or maybe I just went right underneath my radar. But I was really excited to get these on a compilation. And it's funny, when you boot up that Live Arcade disc, it actually sends you through a walkthrough on how to set up the Xbox and get online, and it introduces you to the operating system with the blades. Yeah, that's a long time ago, isn't it? But, all right, moving right along here. I think we're going to go to these next. We're going to hit up some more PS1 games here. So I ended up getting the original Tekken. I have Tekken 3. I actually picked up Tekken 2 with this, but when I got it home, it actually had the original Tekken disc in there too, so I had 2 Tekkens. Unfortunately, they didn't have another Tekken 2, so I just have this one. I'm going to have to track that one down. Fortunately, a lot of PS1 games like this, they're not expensive, and that's how I ended up amassing 87, however many I have. I spent, a decent amount for some of them, some of the RPGs and stuff like that, but Tekken's a great fighter. I love Tekken 3. It's my favorite, but I definitely wanted to pick up the original just to have the series. Another game I picked up, I guess, is would this classify under an extreme sports like the other one, but Sledstorm. It's a pretty cool racer, and you pull off like little tricks to get like a boost or a combo or something like that. I remember playing this back in the day, and it was only a couple bucks. I had to pick it up. Going on to the PS3, I ended up getting the Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. I played this. My buddy had it, and I borrowed it. I don't think I beat it. I know I got pretty far into it. I haven't played the second one. I heard that one's really short, but I'm really looking forward to getting back into this and playing through it. Kind of reminds me of like the God of War, which, speaking of, I did pick up God of War 3, which I waited forever and a day to buy. But I like the God of War series. I'm not in love with it. I like it. My wife really likes it as well, and I got this for like $5. So a couple PS3 games to the collection. And moving on to one last PlayStation 1 game is one I was really excited to find, and that is the big box Resident Evil, the original. I actually have the Greatest Hits Director's Cut, but when I found this, I had to have it. I only have one other big box, and that's the first Need for Speed. But I am a huge Resident Evil fan, especially of the first couple. And to have this was a must-have for me. And it's in pretty good shape, as you can see. Like, I had the paper on the side that kind of crinkles up and it's kind of coming off, but there's no real tears in it. And the inside of it looks pretty darn good. So I can get that in camera earlier. It's even got that. I don't know if this was in there before. It looks like it was, but one thing I really dig about it, the manual is in pretty good shape. But if you take out the disc, it's actually got like the lab from underneath the mansion. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But this was a really neat thing to add to my collection. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. All right, adding another game to my Dreamcast collection. I don't have a really big collection for that yet. But Grandia 2. I'm really into RPGs. I passed on this about like a few months ago, and it took me forever to come across it again. And I've actually never played it. I played the first one on PS1, so I'm really excited to get into this. Now we're going to go to PS2, I think. I got quite a few PS2 games. And we got the first two here are part of a series. Maximo Goes to Glory and Maximo versus Army of Zen. I actually never played these back in the day. They're kind of like a platformer, kind of fighting game. Go around just smashing the crap out of some zombies and whatnot. It kind of reminds me of like the Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts series. So it's made by Capcom too, so I think they might actually be related. But definitely check these out if you are wanting to collect your PS2. Maxima series is really good, and I got these for pretty cheap too. I mean, what am I talking about? Everything I get is almost really cheap if I can manage it. To go along with the one of the PS3 games, I got the other two God of Wars. I actually have these on the PS3 collection of just the two, not the actual whole series. But played the first one quite a bit. Haven't played the second one too much, but I got a really cool story about this one. I ended up going to a new store just down the road from me, and when I go to a new store, I don't really like to spend a whole lot in there. And the first time, I like to kind of feel it out, just see what the people who work there are about, and how they treat their customers, and the quality of the games and what you can buy there. So I needed it for the collection, so I ended up picking it up. And he ends up taking it, and he opens it up, and he sees that the disc is kind of beat up a little bit, and he's like, "Man, you know what? Disc is beat up. I don't want you to start off on the wrong foot. I'll polish it, and then I'll just give it to you." And I was pretty floored by that. So that place is called Game Depot down in Lebanon, Indiana. If you're ever in the area, stop by there. That guy is awesome. He hooked me up. Definitely got to give him props for that. He hooked me up more than once too in this pickup video, because you're going to see another one. Probably going to be the grand finale. Moving on here. Huge Final Fantasy fan, so I was finally able to track down Final Fantasy 12 for the PS2. Never ever bought it back in the day. I got the demo for it when I got Dragon Quest 8. Sold that with some of my other stuff. You need to rebuy that one, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as I did the other Final Fantasies that I played up until then, so I passed on it. A buddy of mine picked it up. He kept telling me, "Hey, you need to try it. I think it's pretty good." I was just not into it, so I'm gonna have to check this out. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I've heard so much good stuff about it. I need to get over that kind of different fact to it. Got two more of a series that I already had one game of, and that is the first Jak and Daxter and Jak 3. So now I got all three of them. I enjoyed the heck out of Jak 2, and now I can play through the whole series now. I'm very excited about that. It's made by Naughty Dog, the same people who made Uncharted and The Last of Us, and also the original Crash Bandicoots, which my wife is a huge, huge diehard fan of. If it wasn't for Metal Jesus, I would never have heard of this game, and I would have just skipped past it every time I saw it. Unfortunately, I don't think I ever did see it until last weekend, and I was Snoopy versus the Red Baron. This game is freaking amazing, and it's fun. It is like a dogfighting game. You play as Peanuts characters, and you zoom around, you pick up like little bonus stuff, you pick up some missiles, you shoot each other down with it. You can do like the best out of 3 or best out of 5. It's got a campaign mode to it too. Cannot wait to dive into this one a little bit more. It came out in 2006, which is towards the end of the life of the PS2. Well, actually, no, it isn't. But of the active games, 360 was already out. The PS3 was either out or coming out. And this thing just kind of slipped under the radar. Snoopy versus the Red Baron. I wish I could show you gameplay. So much of this. If not, I'm going to link the video for Metal Jesus Rocks video for the PS2 Hidden Gems where this one is in, because it is absolutely amazing. And if you see it, it's cheap. Pick it up. Another Square Enix game is Front Mission 4. And I really enjoyed Front Mission 3 on the PS1. I never picked this up. Again, I sort of got out of RPGs there for a while. And I didn't get into Final Fantasy 12. I didn't get into this one either. And I fired this up to test it out, and I was having such a blast with it, I didn't want to put it down. I cannot wait to sit down and do this. The only bad thing about being an RPG fan is that there's never enough time, So I'm definitely making this one a priority. The last PS2 game I played all the way through back in the day. I never owned it, but I borrowed it. And that is Zone of the Enders, made by Mr. Kojima of Metal Gear Solid fame. In fact, this comes with the demo from Metal Gear Solid 2. That's why I ended up borrowing this from a friend back in the day. I played that demo to death, and I gotta say, ZOE is a really underrated series. There's a second one out there called Second Runner. Awesome. Pick it up. Now, the last few here are for the Super Nintendo. I got a couple of just necessary buys, and one really awesome one. A buddy of mine ended up going out game hunting, and he found a game that he knew I was looking for, and that is Spawn for the Super Nintendo. It's like a side-scroller beat 'em up, it kind of goes along with all those other superhero side-scroller beat-em-ups. Maybe there's a few other better ones, but this one's awesome. It got released in 95, sort of towards the end of the life of the system. Really, really underrated, I think. I wish it could have been a little better, but I'm really happy to finally have it. And the next one has got to be one of the hardest games ever made, is Super Empire Strikes Back. Now, this whole series, Super Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi, whoever designed these needs to get kicked in the nuts, because these things are just super freaking difficult, way too hard, way too many enemies on the screen. It gets borderline ridiculous later on in the levels there. One of the last ones here is, I never owned this on Super Nintendo. I never played it back in the day. It got released again on PS1 and again for Game Boy Advance. That's how I played it. But that is Final Fantasy III, or FF6 over here on the PS1 and Game Boy Advance. Definite top 10 for me. I absolutely love this game. It's almost my favorite Final Fantasy. I'm going to say that's going to be 7 for me, simply because that was my first one I ever played. But this one, 6 and 7, or 3, are probably the cream of the crop. So if you're going to check out any of them, check out FF3 on the Super Nintendo, or if you get a hold of FF6 and for the PS1 and Game Boy Advance, or FF7 on the PS1. Now, for the grand finale. I wish I could show you gameplay, but I guess I got enough here to show you anyway. I told you that story about God of War 2, that guy hooking me up with the free game. He had other stuff there that I want, and this one was one of them, and I wouldn't shut up about it. And I was going to go see how much he wanted for it, because ironically enough, I didn't ask. I didn't want to open up that can of worms. So I was going to go down and see how much he wanted for it. I had to work that day. I wasn't able to go. My wife said, I'll go down and ask. And she goes, if it's cheap enough, I'll go ahead and buy it. And I was looking at prices online. It's a little high. I said, if it's going to be that much, I want to see it. Well, when I woke up that day, she ended up having it in her hands, and she gave it to me. And that is a boxed Chrono Trigger for Super Nintendo. Very, very happy about this. She got a great deal on it. The box, it's got a few frays on the corner. The box art is fine though. He gave me a great deal on this. I mean, between the God of War 2 and this, he's got me hooked. I'm going back to a shop and get some other stuff I want there. He's hooked me up, man. Great deal on this. The cartridge is pretty much immaculate. Let me see if I can't get that in there. The cartridge is pretty much immaculate there. No label damage whatsoever. Nothing on the back either. It's great condition. It even came with the posters that came with it originally, as well as the manual. So, super stoked about this. I've already been playing it. Ironically, I never ever played this on the Super Nintendo. I was not into RPGs at the time. I was into licensed games, superhero games, whatever. I was not into RPGs. I think the only one I played was Mario RPG. And that's because I had Mario, and I didn't even own it. A friend of mine had it. I played this actually on the DS, and it became one of my favorite games. And when I saw this and knew how much I loved the game already, and I never played it on Super Nintendo, and I'm collecting, I had to have it. So guys, that's a buttload of games. That was my August. I'm taking a little bit of a break in September, so I probably won't have as many games next time. Hopefully, maybe I can show some gameplay. I don't know. It all depends on where my funds are, if I can get a streaming thing or not. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope Nate does something similar for some of the comics that he does. And please check us out on Journey into Comics on Facebook and Instagram. Like the page. Follow us on Instagram. If you check us out on Instagram, you're going to get pictures of some of our pickups. If you check out my profile on Instagram at Brando Games, I'll link it down below. You're going to see some of the stuff pretty much as I get it cleaned. So when I make a new video on it, you guys are going to have some sort of clue of what's going to be in the video. Anyway, guys, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. All right, guys. Brando back here from the current day, and I'm going to shoot it over to the next pickup video in which I showcase the games that I picked up for the month of September. Notice that video went live in September. This video actually went live in October. I was doing them kind of monthly. It would take me a little while. I would, of course, I would have a lot of games in these videos, so I would test them, clean them, and then set them aside for me to then, showcase in the video. I would do the video. I would edit the video. I was still learning how to do the video. Of course, I didn't mention in that first video, the audio and video, if you're watching on YouTube, it's slightly off. And so I was using a program. I didn't even know what I was really doing at the time. I just decided to try it and put it out. It was my first forego into that. And the second one with the September one, it turned out a lot better. So here is Brando's pickups for September of 2014. Hey guys, Brando back here again to go through another pickup video. I did one for my August run through, and I'm going to go through my September right now. Got a couple of games here. As I said, I took a little bit of a break, didn't pick up too much stuff, but I do have a few things that I forgot to mention last time that I received as gifts. So let's just get right down to it. So the first thing that I want to show is some of my gifts that I got. I was in a couple of weddings this summer for a few of my friends, and the first one, a buddy that I grew up with, ended up getting me a Super Nintendo game that he came across. It's called Joe and Mac, and it's like this little platformer where you run around as these little cave guys, saving all the sexy cave girls from all the evil cavemen and dinosaurs and all these other things that you kind of come across. It's a pretty challenging game. Me and him played 2-player on it, and it was really hard. And then I tried playing single player, and it was actually a little bit easier. I don't know if they give the enemies more health for 2-player or not, but anyway, yeah, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate that. I was in another wedding this summer, so he got me a gift. He got all of his groomsmen flasks, so he got me this cool little kind of Game Boy flask with my name on it. It's pretty cool. I really dug it. He really surprised me with it. The fact that he kind of thought of the little things that I would like and everything. So thanks, Matt. I really appreciate the Game Boy flask. I probably won't be using it for liquor. Probably get some gamer fuel. Now, the last thing that I forgot to mention last time was that in August I picked up a new Game Boy Advance SP. And I actually picked one up when I went on my big gaming hunt back at the beginning of the year. But I found this one for about the same price that I got the other one. And it is a model 101. That's how you can tell back there. It's like up there in like that region. Wait, yep, right there. Webcam stuff. Anyway, yeah, AGS model 101. And the difference between that and the normal one is that it actually has a brighter screen. It's actually backlit instead of being side lit. So when you're playing, you see like the little screen here, there's a little button here, and you can actually make it brighter. It's like an LCD screen. And so that was a must-have for me. I actually tried playing some games that I got on the other one, and it was still remarkably difficult to actually, have to sit there and do it. It was kind of hard on the eyes. I've actually tried to go back and play the original Game Boy, and that thing is ridiculous. How did we ever do that before we had, illuminating like LCD screens? But anyway, getting off topic, I ended up picking this up, and I also picked up Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. So I'm not sure if there's any other ones on the Game Boy Advance. I assume there are. But I saw this, and I never really saw it around too much, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. So yeah, great game and a great system. There's so many games on here. If you ever have any vague interest in picking up a Game Boy Advance, get this one right here, because you're going to be able to have full backwards compatibility with all the other Game Boy titles, a Game Boy Color, and it has a backlit screen. Remember that, model 101 right there in the back. Going forward here, I bought a handful of 360 games from a coworker. He was getting rid of his 360 and kind of dumping off some of his games. I ended up getting about 9. One of them was a duplicate, but so here's a big stack of it. Of course, I've got Red Dead Redemption. I actually already have this on PS3, but this one is the game of the year that comes with the physical copy of the Undead Nightmare. And I really dug that. I really wanted to have a physical copy of that because sure you know that eventually the online support for the PS3 and 360 are going to go out, or they're going to shut it off basically. So if you don't have that downloaded your hard drive, or if your hard drive fails after that, you're not going to be able to get that back. That's why I'm really hunting down the physical copy for some of the DLC stuff that I ended up getting. The next one that I ended up getting out of that was Fallout New Vegas, which I actually bought this on the PC on like a Steam sale for really cheap. And funny story about this one, me and Rob were playing through this on the PS3, and the character creation suite on the Fallout games kind of suck. And I remember on the Fallout 3, I ended up making a dude that looked kind of like Michael Keaton. And on this one, he ended up looking kind of like Alan Jackson, so we named him Alan Jackson and made his first quest. Not doing anything else. He had to find a cowboy hat. Another one I got in that is Dead Island, which I actually put this in and played a little bit of it. I'm not a huge fan of like first-person games or first-person shooters or anything like that, but this is really cool. You run around just like beating the crap out of zombies and everything. So, it's not too bad. I really hope I can get into it. The next one, actually two, I'll just hold these up about the same. Halo Reach and Halo 4. This adds to my Halo collection. I'm not huge into Halo, but if you're going to collect for Xbox, it's like saying you're not going to collect Mario if you're collecting Nintendo. I'm trying to get into Halo, guys. I don't know if I'm ever going to, like hardcore, but I'm really trying. I really dig sci-fi stuff. So the last one was a game that he just kind of threw in. He didn't really think anybody would give him much for it. And it is Guitar Hero 2 and the Aerosmith thing, a dual pack. And I already have Guitar Hero 2 on PS2, but I don't have the Aerosmith one, so I'll have to pick me up now an Xbox guitar controller to go with my other ones, which is starting to kind of amass over here in my corner. Moving on here, I got a couple of PS1 games to add to my collection. I think I'm up to like 87 or 89 now. If you can see, I kind of got like a little bookshelf back there now. I got those displayed, but Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Now this was the re-release that Atari came out with, or in like 04 when when GT came out in the States to actually get dubbed. This was actually really relatively cheap. It would have been really cool to find the original pressing, but that's kind of expensive still to this day. But I'm just glad I got the game. The game is totally unchanged. It's just the packaging and everything else. So I probably won't even hunt down the original one now. I have no intent to really get that. I've got this. I mean, I have the game. It's just not the original pressing. I'm not that crazy for it. But you know what? It's a pretty interesting fighter. It's not great, but kind of reminds me of a lot of those early 3D fighting games that didn't really quite have all their stuff tuned down yet. Speaking of that, that's what the other one is too. It is Ehrgeiz, which is made by Squaresoft. It was a fighter. It had Cloud, Sephiroth, Tifa, and Vincent from FF7, and a bunch of other people. I'm not sure. I don't know where most of these guys come from. I know one of them is supposed to be God Hand, but I don't know if he... Wasn't there a God Hand game that came out, but I don't think Square made it. I have to look that stuff up. I'm very not knowledgeable about the other characters in this game. But I got this for relatively cheap, but unfortunately, it's basically just the disc. And that has a Blockbuster sticker on it. Every time I've seen this game, it's been a little bit more than I wanted to pay for it. I'll have to hunt down the case separately. They actually had like a printed piece of paper in there and for the front, so I don't have a manual or anything, but it'll do for now until I can actually get a case for it. All right, now we got some games from not the last generation, but the one before it, for the good old GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. First off, for the GameCube is Metal Arms, Glitch in the System. I'm not sure if you've ever played this. I think it was available for all three systems. I know originally I was going to get it on the Xbox. That's what I actually played it on. My buddy had it on the Xbox. And they had the case, but they couldn't find the game anywhere, so I had to pass on it. But I ended up finding it for the GameCube, and I think it's pretty similar. It's kind of like a platformer, and you run around, shoot stuff, kind of like a Ratchet and Clank or something like that. But I really enjoyed when I played this back in the day, and I had to hunt this down for my collection. Really fun game. For the original Xbox, this is one of my favorite horror games ever. Since this is October now, this is a great time to talk about this. Silent Hill 2. Now, I originally played this on the PS2, and I haven't played through the Xbox one yet. I put this in to test it, see if it worked, and it brought back a lot of memories. This one has a subtitle. Was it Restless Dreams. And I think they have a bunch of extra content for this version, for like additional player, more secrets revealed, new areas and stuff like that. But I cannot wait to dive into that. It has been so long. I'd have to say it's been more than 10 years since I played this game. And I remember this was one of the last horror games that I ever really got into. I remember RE2, and then I remember this. And then RE4, but it was just different. RE4 was scary for a different reason. It wasn't like the kind of like environmental scare. So definitely glad to have this one. Now the last two here are for the PS2. I'm going to first talk about this one. It was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now I know this is on the 360, but I ended up finding this for relatively cheap. And I figured why not. And I actually just upgraded my PS2 to S-Video, and that TV I could have done it on Component to get progressive scan. I'm not sure if this game even supports that, but I didn't want to do Component in there because I already have the Xbox Component. I didn't want to have to buy a switcher, and I want to have my games be playable by a touch of a button. And so I ended up picking this up on the PS2, and it looked great on my S-Video. I mean, it looked fantastic. You'd have to sit there and think about it, that it was actually a PS2 game. So I thought that was really cool how they were able to get a lot out of the PS2 towards the end of its run. But this is a great game. Of course, it's like a spiritual successor to the X-Men Legends games, the same type, kind of like that dungeon crawler kind of thing, up to 4 players. And I think I have a multi-tap, so I can actually do that. The last one here on the PS2, I never played this back in the day. Ended up finding this, and a lot of people are talking about it, and that is Destroy All Humans. And when I tested this out, I did not want to put it down. I played through quite a bit of it, and this is just such a fun, quirky game where you run around and you're probing people and zapping them, and you get in your little saucer, end up flying around and just zapping up people's houses, and you just kind of progress through the story that way. It is just a really fun game, very quirky. If you have never played Destroy All Humans, please pick it up. There's a second one out there, and that one is on my list to get. Alright, so the last two here are sort of my grand gets for the month. The first one here I got early on in September. I really had to hunt this down and find it locally. There weren't that many, but Soul Blazer for the Super Nintendo. This one was made by Enix, of course now mixed with Square Enix, but it's along the same lines of Illusion of Gaia. If you've played that, it's kind of like an action RPG or something like that. So you're like kind of running around defeating monsters and saving people and whatnot. This is a really cool game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I haven't played through it all the way yet. Looking forward to getting some time to do that. That's one thing I actually don't have is a lot of time. So Soul Blazer, this one cost me a little bit. Basically for me, when I'm building this collection, I try to get it as cheap as possible, but sometimes I get that itch. And like I really want to play something. I've heard a lot about it. So, heard a lot about Soul Blazer. Buddy of mine has Illusion of Gaia. I'm going to have to get that soon. Now, that same buddy, Rob, picked me up something at one of his local garage sales. And that is Final Fantasy IV Advance. And it's still in box, complete sealed. It's actually not worth a whole lot. But so because of that, I'm having the real bad itch about wanting to open it. I want to crack it open and see what's inside. But I'm also thinking, it's not that going to be that much to get like just a cartridge, and I could just have this as a really cool showpiece. And who knows, maybe it'll be worth something about 20 to 30 years. Final Fantasy IV is one of my favorites to go through, and I've actually got that on a couple different systems and platforms. So I'm going to have to keep my eye out to get this on cart only for GBA, because I got that new Game Boy Advance and I really want to play this. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for now. A little bit of a shorter video, I hope. Of course, as I said, I took a little bit of a break. I'm getting ready to go some game hunting here soon. And for the next month's video, hopefully I'm going to have quite the number of games to show you. I'm going to be adding to a certain aspect of my collection, which I have not even been focusing on yet. So I'm really excited for that. Hope you guys check out the other videos here on the channel. Check out Journey to Comics on Facebook, Instagram. Check us out on iTunes. Check out the podcast. We got some pretty cool stuff coming at you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. All right, now Brando back here once again from the present. And what I am going to do now is I'm going to tell you a little of a story here, because what we have is we have the month of October of 2014. And now this is a big deal because this was one of the biggest hauls I'd had to this point. And I went and got a bunch of NES stuff. And it's funny because in the video, you'll hear me reference that went up to Nate's neck of the woods. I did some game hunting up there, bought a lot of games for both retro and, and more current systems. But these, I mentioned this deal that I got from this girl, and that girl actually ends up being Veronica. Of course, now she's the host of, or co-host of Foodies Watching Movies. She's a part of the network. So it's really cool to go back and just listen. I didn't mention her by name because at that time she was just, she was just a girl that I had met, and I didn't really want to like say her name on the video and just put her out there. I really probably could have, but at the time I was just thinking on the fly that I just wouldn't say the identity just in case there was any sort of issue with that. Of course, it's kind of funny to think about because now she's a big part of the network. So a little shout out to you, Veronica, for that, and hooking me up with these great NES games that Nate is a little jealous of nowadays. Yeah, this next one, it was actually 2 parts. It was such a long video, so many games. I split it up in 2 parts. And so what I'm going to do here is that you're going to hear the first part, and then that's going to end, and then that's going to just go right into the next part. And I'm hoping you guys have recognized that I'm using the intro song that we use for the Game Addicts podcast. That I first started using that with these pickup videos, and then when we started the podcast, I was still using that for the pickup videos, and so I was using another song for the intro of the Game Addicts podcast. And so when we stopped doing the pickup videos, I liked that song so much, I said I want that to just be the Game Addicts song. And I don't know if the old song is still available. I did a couple different takes of me talking over it. I tried so many different things. And what I'd like is just that old school game pickup video song that I have, the old 8-bit version of 1776 from Iced Earth, one of my favorite bands. So this is the video you're about to hear or see, depending on where you're digesting this episode of the Game Addicts podcast, is part 1 and part 2 of October. A lot of games to go through. Sit back, relax, and hear me talking about some of these new additions to my collection from October 2014. All right, guys, Brando back here again with another pickup. This one's pretty massive. I kind of upped the production quality a little bit for this video because I just have so much stuff, and I'm tired of bending up and dumping down just to get stuff and doing all that like kind of webcam stuff. So I wanted to kind of try this and see how it works out. Maybe I'll do more of this in the future. But I'm just going to get right into this as soon as I can because I've got so much crap. It may be 2 videos. I don't know. All right, so let's just get right down to it. First of all, I kind of want to start with some donations that I got from some friends and some coworkers. And first one is this white PS3 controller. It's beat up. Nick gave this to me, and I guess the up button doesn't work. So I'm gonna crack it open and kind of see if I can get this in working shape. It's got a lot of scuffs. I mean, this thing has seen its miles, so it'd be cool if I can get it working again. Going on with some games. I got some games from a buddy at work. Some of the stuff I had a double. But I'm gonna show you just a couple that he gave me. He gave me The Sims 2, PS2, Sims Busted Out, and Samurai Warriors. And he also gave me Guitar Hero 1 and 2, which I have like 4 copies of Guitar Hero 2. But I never ever played Samurai Warriors. And I like the Dynasty Warriors series to an extent. It does get kind of boring though after a while. But I popped this in and it was just almost kind of like right at home, you know what I mean? So it'd be cool to kind of go into this, see if I actually kind of like the Samurai Warriors series too. That's the same buddy that donated those, Ray, thanks. Also donated Star Ocean, the second story, which I never played any of the Star Oceans back on the PS1. I think there definitely is one more, second story, so you would think there's got to be the first story or something like that. I am actually unversed with the Star Ocean series at all, so I'll have to keep my eye open, see if I can't find another one, but I'm really into collecting the the RPGs and everything for the PS1 era. I mean, RPGs were just so rampant for that, and I'm a big fan. And of course, this is Enix, another Enix game to add to that sort of portion of my collection. I never really played an Enix game before I started collecting, so moving on with some more PS2 stuff that I picked up. I'll move right along to Star Ocean. I picked up Star Ocean till the End of Time. It's a greatest hits edition, but I had just received a Star Ocean donation when I was out hunting, and I saw this, and I thought, why not, And the graphics are really good. There's 2 discs on the PS2, so I'm not really sure how long the game is, but I did pop it in and test it out. It seems pretty cool. I'm collecting all these RPGs and I have no time to play them, which is kind of just depressing when you think about it. Another PS2 game I got was the Rise of Kasai. And of course, it's a PS2 exclusive. Is this the sequel or the successor to the Mark of Cree, which I actually did play that. I never played the Rise of Kasai though. These are these kind of like third-person run-around adventure games that you battle and all that stuff. I'm not sure if I consider them platformers, but definitely action adventure. So Rise of Kasai, I need to get Mark of Cree to kind of finish off this one. For PS2, I picked up Jak X Combat Racing, just to sort of kind of complete my Jak and Daxter series, from the PS2. And this was freaking awesome. I put this in. This is a lot of fun. It really reminds me of kind of like a mix between Mario Kart and Twisted Metal or something like that. I actually never played this back in the day. By the time this came out, it was like 05 or 06, so I actually never looked much into it. I was already kind of looking forward to the PS3 and whatnot. And I was not really big into racing games, but this is definitely a lot of fun. If you like, kind of like the arcade racers or Mario Kart or anything like that, definitely check this out if you're looking to collect for PS2. Speaking of RPGs that I'll never have enough time to play, I picked up Dark Cloud, another PS2 exclusive. And I heard a lot about this back on the PS2. Again, I never played it on the PS2 back when it came out. Of course, this is the Greatest Hits edition. A lot of people, a lot of collectors, they kind of try to stay away from the Greatest Hits. And I'll be honest, when I was first starting to collect for the PS1, I kind of thought the same, along the same vein. But I've kind of moved past that. I just want to own the games, You have Greatest Hits, original pressing, I don't care. I just want to own them. I just want to play them. I want to have the ability to play them whenever I want. So I'm looking forward to getting into Dark Cloud again when I can find the time. The last one from the PS2, I'm actually going to include the GameCube one too, because I got the Beautiful Joe series. Beautiful Joe 1 on the GameCube, and I ended up picking 2 up on PS2. I wanted them both on the GameCube, but then I found it really cheap for PS2, and I thought, well, whatever, I have the games, they'll be spread off across 2 different systems. But I remember playing the demo of Beautiful Joe 1, or playing it, maybe it was in like a store, like a Walmart or something, where they had the game set up. And it kind of reminded me of like those old school like side-scroller beat-em-ups. But it has its own feel and its own flash to it. And I'm really looking forward to getting into these a little bit more. Of course, as I said, I actually played the first one. I never played the second one before I tested it or anything like that. So Beautiful Joe series, if you're looking into like a continuation of that old school side-scroller beat 'em up, the final fights or anything like that, it's not exactly it, but these are really good to like get into, and it has a really cool art style. It has like the cel-shaded kind of like graphic style to it. I guess I'll just move on to the original Xbox. Now, one of the series that I was really looking forward to collecting when I got the Dreamcast was Shenmue, and I could never find it. And locally, I ended up having to order it online. It was almost the same with Shenmue 2. I just cannot find this thing locally. Nowhere had it. And I've been looking for months. And almost all this stuff, minus the donations and a few other ones that I've got here locally, I got up north, close to Chicago, in the disc replay store up there. And so when I found Shenmue 2, I was ecstatic. This is actually one of the games I had my eye out for when I went up there, simply because I wanted the sequel to Shenmue for when I do finish that game. I want to move right into 2. And unfortunately, it was supposed to be a trilogy. It was never finished. But I really liked coming across this because it is in really good condition. It's got the manual. It does have the DVD movie of all the cutscenes from the first game, since the first game didn't get ported over to the original Xbox, or it didn't get backwards compatibility either for the Dreamcast, which I heard was actually in the talks, but a few kind of sort of like, I don't know, probably legal troubles prevented that from happening. But this actually came out on the Dreamcast in other regions. America, or maybe just North America entirely, this was exclusive to the Xbox. Xbox wanted a big exclusive from Sega, and this was it. So really glad to have this in the collection now. It goes right along with my Shenmue 1, this is definitely a game that people have to, I guess, grow for the style. It has the best, worst voice acting I've ever heard, and it's its own thing. I've never played a game quite like Shenmue. Now, for the Wii, I picked up one of the RPGs you want to look for when you get the Wii. It's called The Last Story. Of course, it is made by Sakaguchi, who, of course, is the creator of the Final Fantasy series. What's his first name? Haranobu? I can't say, I just butchered it. But of course, the music is also by Nobuo Uematsu. I can say his name. I'm a huge Uematsu fan, and I've actually been been looking out for all the Sakaguchi games post him leaving Square. So this goes right along with what's the other one I got? Lost Odyssey. I still need to get the Blue Dragon on the 360 to sort of complete that for the consoles. There might be another one, I'm not sure, but The Last Story was really cool. It kind of had like a action RPG kind of tone to it. It wasn't turn-based or anything like that. You actually like ran around and just did stuff in real time. But I did get another RPG, and this one was for the 360, and it was by Square. It's called The Last Remnant. This one is actually exclusive to the 360, other than PC or whatever like that. And this kind of has like the same kind of thing going on, only it actually has like a battle mode to it. I was sort of blown away a little bit because this one kind of has a really cool like battle system where you actually have like really big battles on a battlefield, and you're actually controlling different groups of people in a very similar like turn-based style of combat. So when you tell this group what to do, they go and do that, and you go tell this group what to do, and they go fight another section of group of enemies, and it's like this really big, massive turn-based combat battle, and that was really neat to see. And I really want to get more into dive more into that aspect, because it seemed like they give you that right at the beginning, and then you're running around as like the main character, and it's not quite that. So I'm hoping there's a little bit more of that big battle aspect of it, because I was really blown away by that. More of the 360, I did pick up Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, and this one had been on my radar for a little bit. I heard some stuff about it. I heard it was really good. It kind of reminds me of maybe like a dungeon crawler, like the old, what am I thinking of? The EverQuest, or the Champions of Norrath series on the PS2. It's got a little bit of that. It's got a little bit of like maybe like a Skyrim feel too, but Skyrim, not necessarily like the first person aspect of it. It's more, it's third person, a little bit more like have an arcade type feel to it. And the conversation system reminded me a little bit of like Dragon Age or something like that, where you kind of went through your dialogue wheel and all that stuff. Or Mass Effect has that same kind of deal. The only thing that sucks about this is that the company that made this went out of business, and I heard that there are some like game-breaking bugs that can happen if you play this game. So I got to be really careful when I play this. And of course, this is also I believe the story is by R.A. Salvatore. So definitely, if you're into like the big fantasy stuff, this game kind of flew under the radar a little bit. So definitely pick up Kingdoms of Amalur. Now, I mentioned that I liked the Dynasty Warrior series on the PS2, and I had never played any of them on the last generation. I did play the demo for the first one of these, and I found these and had to get them. Dynasty Warriors Gundam 1 and 2. I love the Gundam series. In fact, a buddy of mine gave me the whole Gundam Wing series as like half of a payment for a PSP Go. But anyways, yeah, I really like the Gundam series, and it works really well with the Dynasty Warriors aspect. And I was thinking about picking up a Dynasty Warriors game, maybe one of the newer ones. I actually have interest in Hyrule Warriors at some point, but I saw the Gundam ones, and I'm like, why haven't I picked those up yet? Those are really cool. And so, Dynasty Warriors Gundam series. If you like Dynasty Warriors, you like Gundam, these are a perfect match. I picked up this next one because my wife asked me to. I mean, I was going to do it at some point anyway, but I picked it up a little sooner than I was going to. As Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. If you're looking for a really challenging, like, platformer, check this out. Because even like the first couple levels are a little challenging, especially if you're trying to 100% everything and get all the the letters or all the little trinkets. This is really freaking challenging. It brought back a lot of the old memories of the older system platformers and how just unforgiving they are. This was not quite, but it is pretty tough. So definitely check this out. I think I picked it up for about $40. A little bit more than I want to pay, but you know, hey, the wife asked for it, so I picked it up for her. All right. My only PS1 edition was a donation from my buddy Nate, co-host of Journey to Comics, Metal Gear Solid VR missions. He mentioned that he had it, and he said it's mine. So it took a little bit, but it got to me. I had passed up on it a few times in the wild, knowing that I was going to be hopefully getting it for free, which he donated it. I played through this after I played, MGS way back in the day, and had so much fun playing as Gray Fox. So much fun doing like the all the different little like murder mysteries and stuff. You got to go around and try and solve them as quick as you can. So VR missions are a really cool thing. There's no story to it or anything like that. It's just doing a bunch of different added missions with MGS gameplay. A little bit of better graphics too. There's like a little bit of an upgrade to the graphics than from the original Metal Gear Solid. So that there's that. On the DS, under the recommendation of my buddy Wes, I got Hotel Dusk Room 215. It's like a mystery game or something like that. I never played it, and it was really cheap. I'm looking forward to see how in depth this is with the detective work and kind of solving the mystery behind it, because I didn't even test it. I got it, brought it home, and threw it in the handheld drawer. So I'm gonna have to test this out. The other handheld game I got was from a buddy of mine. We worked at a little bit of a trade, and I got Paper Mario Sugar Star. I like the Paper Mario series. It's pretty neat. I never played this one because I was waiting to pick it up, and I got a good deal on it from my buddy Richard. So thanks, Richard. Really appreciate that. Moving on to the PS3, I picked up on the recommendation of Metal Jesus right here on YouTube. I got The Bureau, XCOM Declassified, and I never really thought too much of the XCOM games. I'm not really into the strategy stuff or anything like that. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. And then I saw the gameplay, and it plays kind of like Mass Effect, a little different, and kind of a cover-based shooter when you give commands and all that stuff. So I tried this out, and it's kind of funny because I like it, but at the same time it has that cheesiness from like the PS1 games, or like the over-the-top acting. The main guy, he kind of has this certain tone to him, the way he acts, and he's like a super dark character. But anyway, that was cracking me up, and it was really fun to play. So definitely check this out. I think I got it for like $10, so pretty good. The other PS3 game I just got last night, so barely made it into the October pickup. That's Hitman Absolution, and I found this at Walmart in the used section for $5. I got this for free on the PlayStation Network, and I used to love the Hitman games. Then this came out, and I was kind of tired of them, didn't really think much of it, and then I got it for free, downloaded it, and I loved it. It was really cool. They has the same Hitman feel, but it has a couple more elements kind of thrown in to kind of make it fit in more with maybe today's genre of shooters. So pretty neat. Hitman Absolution, pretty cheap. If you can find it at your Walmart for $5, jump on that, because that's a crazy deal for that. For the PS4, I've actually had this in my possession for a few months. I was borrowing it from a coworker of mine, Mike. When we worked out a deal, and I ended up buying it from him. That's Infamous Second Son. It's the limited edition, so it's kind of like the holographic kind of box art and everything. I really liked it, but it's a little repetitive. I need to just sit down and get back through it because I enjoy what I played. I played maybe half, maybe just under half, but it was really repetitive. That's my only drawback. The graphics are phenomenal. This was one of the first games I popped in on the PS4. And the graphics, the visuals made it feel like that it was really next gen. So Infamous is a really good game. I played the other ones, I really liked them. This one's really good. It's just, you're running around doing the same stuff. So hopefully I can get back through it. Well, that concludes, first part of this. I got so much stuff that, just had to do 2 parts. So just stick around, and hopefully I'll get that next part up soon. So thanks for watching. Take care. Hey, welcome back. And this is part 2 of my pickups video for October. Got a lot of stuff. So I went through the first part. If you haven't seen that, I'll link that down below. This is the second part. A little bit more of the retro stuff. I had some retro stuff in the other one, but this one is a lot more of old school feel and with some pretty cool finds. So let's take a look at what we got. First things first. Okay, so I went up into Nate's neck of the woods. Nate, my co-host for Journey to Comics, and he made a deal with someone for me to buy some NES stuff off of. And we met her and we hooked up, and she gave me a great deal on some NES games. And I've got about maybe 19 of them here. So, of course, I had all the Marios: Mario Duck Hunt, Mario 2, and Mario 3. All the games are in just fantastic shape. I was just awed. I haven't had to clean any of them. They all worked on the first try. They're just in some fantastic condition, every single one of them. So, had the Mario games. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in no particular order because I had about 19 of them. Trying to get through this pretty quick. The game called Sky Shark. Looks to be like a tennis game. Racket Attack. Predator, which is freaking horrible. If you ever want to just have torture, play some Predator. It is not what it should have been. Got Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. Really cool game. Beat him up. The only bad thing is that when he kicks, he always kicks behind him. So you got to make sure if you want to kick that you line it up just right. Got Donkey Kong Classics, which has Donkey Kong Jr. You like those old Donkey Kong arcades? This is right there for you. Batman the video game from Sunsoft, really awesome game. This game is really cool. I really liked it. I remember playing this back in the day. Moving on, we got Karnov, which is this one's really interesting. It's pretty crazy. It's like this. He looks kind of like a monk, but he's running around shooting fireballs at dinosaurs. So that's a pretty interesting game. I got Iron Tank, which was an interesting game. The only thing that kind of sucked about it is that it just seemed like it took a while for the turret to line up for you to be able to use your actual your missiles or anything like that. But made by SNK, for anybody who knows what the Neo Geo is. We got Top Gun from Konami. This game is really horrible. We got Metal Gear from Ultra, aka Konami. But the very first Metal Gear, so I'm very happy that this was in this whole lot. I mean, when Nate was kind of telling me what games came with it, when he said Metal Gear, Mario, Batman, I'm like, yep, oh yeah, we have a deal. Going forward, as I said, it's quite a few games. Freedom Force, of course, the Zapper game, which on the lot, she also included the original gray Zapper. This was freaking awesome, the fact that it was the original gray one, because when I see them around, I always see the orange ones. So having the original gray one was really neat. DuckTales. Capcom had a lot of really good games back on the NES, especially like DuckTales, Chip and Dale, and all that stuff like that. And then, of course, Mega Man. I mean, I love Mega Man on the NES, but DuckTales is really good too. Really challenging platform and everything. It's like, when I was playing it, I forgot you had to jump on your cane like a pogo stick. Also, if anybody is interested, they actually just remastered this for the, I believe it was the PS3, 360, and Wii U. So definitely check out that. They actually brought back a lot of the voice actors from the original show to do that. And Bubble Bobble, good old Bubble Bobble from Taito. We got Breakthrough, and I believe this is a shmup, if you will. I'm trying to remember because I've tested them all out, but Breakthrough, I don't remember that one. Boy and His Blob, I definitely remember this. You're running around and you are feeding him different things to make him turn into a ladder, and some other things later on. Boy and His Blob. Blades of Steel. Hockey. Blades of Steel. And one of the last things that I got up there, as far as the NES stuff, this didn't come with it, but I bought it separately because I'd never had an NES. I've never owned one, but I had to buy one. I bought all these games, so I found this top loader. Now, there is some criticism about the top loader because a lot of them are only RF out. And you can get it AV modded, which I may do. I haven't decided to do it, but I needed an NES, and this is the only one we found. And I was sort of floored that this was the only one we found. Couldn't find any other of the old school toaster ones. Just found this one, and it works. It works perfectly. So I did have a problem with the AV cord, because the cord that I got with it wasn't the original AV cord, and I blew it when I tried to plug in one of the arcade sticks. But I ended up getting the official power adapter. It works just fine, and it didn't come with any of the dogmo controllers. I just got the regular NES controllers with it. Closing out my NES games, I actually did buy 2 just the other day, and they are the Legend of Zelda Gold cartridge, and it's in pretty decent condition. It's not perfect, but of the ones that I've seen around here, this is one of the better looking ones. And then Turtles 2, the arcade game, really fun game. If you played Turtles in Time, this is like the predecessor to that. It doesn't play exactly like the original Turtles game, because it's the arcade game. So added those to the NES collection. The last thing I bought from the NES lady, aka Veronica, thank you, was some Sega Genesis stuff. And of course, I got the 6-button Sega Genesis controller. I really needed this one. I just got my Genesis up and running again, so I could buy some Genesis stuff. And she gave me this, and she gave me some games. She had some more stuff, and I kind of wish I wanted all of them, but I had to pace myself because we had stores to go to, and so I wanted to make sure that I had money for the stores. So I only bought 4 games. I almost said 3. I only bought 4 games from her, and I got Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition. This is actually what they called, I think, the one in the arcade, and that's the one that got me hooked on Street Fighter. And all these have the clamshell. And this one, it doesn't have the manual, but it does have like this ad from Tiger for kind of a tabletop game. But yeah, man, Street Fighter on the Genesis, and I was very happy to see, because I got that 6-button controller now. I got X-Men on the Genesis. No manual in this one, or no special poster inside like as advertised. The last thing I want to show you guys, I ended up at my job, at my work, they had a Nintendo 64 box sitting out by the trash, and the box is in pretty good shape. It's up there. Otherwise, I got stuff on it now. It's part of my display stuff. So it's an N64 box, but inside of it, it had Super Nintendo boxes, which I thought was just really cool, especially that some of the ones they had. One of them was in bad shape. I think it was like a WWF game. But I've got some of these here that I'm going to show off, and I'll do this one first, because it doesn't really matter to me that much. Is NFL Quarterback Club 96. Again, it's a box, and it's pretty decent condition. I got Tiny Toons Buster Bust Loose. I remember playing this quite a bit when I was a kid. I think a buddy of mine had it, and I borrowed it off it. A pretty fun platformer game. Has some mini games in between some of the levels, so I'll definitely be buying this, and then when I do, I got the box for it. Doom. This one was a really cool one to see that they had in there, because I really look forward to seeing what this plays like on the Super Nintendo, because I never played it. And again, I got the box for it. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. This one is in kind of some rough shape. Not as good as maybe Doom or anything like that, but the fact that they had a box for Zombies Ate My Neighbors, just sitting there by the trash, ready to be recycled, whatever they wanted to do, free for the taking. So I snatched them up, because other than maybe the NFL game, I plan on buying them. So, and the fact that it's kind of tattered, it doesn't really bother me that much, because it kind of adds character, and it lets me know that that the game's kind of been around. This last one was Super Mario Kart, and I was excited to see this because I already have Super Mario Kart, and I went ahead and put it in there. The cool thing is that the box is the Player's Choice Million Seller one, and that's the one I ended up buying, just on sheer coincidence. So that was really cool that I had the same box. I had the matching box for the cartridge. I think Doom is the only one that actually had the manual with it. So, there's that. But still, for free, I got some Super Nintendo boxes. Something that I never really thought I would really care about. But hey, maybe I can start trying to get some lucky and find some boxes. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I put a little bit more effort into this one to get some stuff set up, the camera and the lights, and get a whole kind of table here to get all this stuff set up, because I have just so much stuff to show, and I got so many games. So thanks for watching. Hope to do some other kind of videos soon. I got maybe a couple others brewing up here. I'm not sure if I can get to it, within the next week, but hopefully, I can get some, maybe a video done next week and then try to get it up and upload it as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, guys. Check us out on Facebook, on Journey to Comics, at Podbean, on iTunes. I know I've been doing a lot of gaming videos and pickups videos here on the channel. Nate's got some stuff, hopefully, that he's going to be kind of putting up soon. And I just ended up doing my first ever solo cast, if you will. And it's a little rough around the edges, first time I ever done it, but go check out that. It's called Pre-Order Canceled. But we're also going to be doing, still going to be doing our shows, together. This is going to be sort of a way to have, a show every week without having to meet up every week for the two of us, where we have news, stories, like whatever we want to talk about. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. And that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. Thanks for bearing with us during this sort of trying time that we've been. We took this break. We didn't know how long this break was going to be. It was that uncertain. When I announced it on social media, I just said indefinite, because at that point in time, I had no idea when I was going to be able to come back and do the show. Thankfully, it's sooner than later. So with that, thank you guys for checking this episode out, this much very different episode that hopefully eventually we'll cycle through, and we'll go through all of these videos at some point, but I'm not going to make it a regular thing. This is going to be a clutch, or a crutch, if you will. This is going to be like, I have nothing to put out this week. Let's put out some of these more videos for the pickups, and that's all this is going to be. But until then, for right now, I guess you guys can check us out on our social medias. You can check us out at Game Addicts Play on Twitter, Game Addicts Podcast across the web. Just search us, you'll find us. We're on Instagram at Game Addicts Play. I think it's that one. It's either Play or Podcast. Sometimes the username wouldn't allow us to be as long, but you can check us out at Journey into. Wow, I went into JIC. Wow, that is something else. That's how out of it with this podcast stuff I've been. You can check us out at GameAddictsPodcast.com, and you can check out the Journey into Comics.com to check out the JIC network. You can also check us out on Patreon over there with the JIC network. Game Addicts Podcast is a part of the network over there on Patreon, and you can throw a couple bucks, get the episodes early if you want. If not, you can just check us out anywhere that we are. Of course, we're on Podbean, we're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, and we're on Google Play Music, and of course, our video home of YouTube. So with all that being said, I'm Brando, and we'll see you next week.